Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
How's it going? We are back. I guess we were back last week. But this is the second to last Murder She Ate of the season, guys. We got two more. This one and one more, and then we're in baby off season.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
go
it'll be a yearly thing.
Someone already donated $2. Super excited for Murder She Ate, my favorite new show.
Yay!
I love that you call it a show.
So, I 30 minutes ago woke up from my nap, took a shower, and today was just a slow one for me.
Yeah, it was slow for me. We had
You have a reason though.
What's the reason?
You don't have a reason.
No, I don't. Well, there was handymen over. I didn't get my chance to get my workout in. They were like fixing stuff in the garage, so I just went for a walk with Julius.
You gotta do the morning workouts like me. That's the freshest time. Get up and just get it done.
Yeah.
But
it is.
I have such bad heartburn, and I don't know. I'm just like feeling overall like physically, mentally not fully there. But I did do my case. And I'm excited to do it because it's a pretty good one. Last week was a super week. My case last week was...
It wasn't up to your usual standards. You usually really deliver with like great mysteries. Mine is, mine's a good one. And a couple new developments happening here. First off, we have the cookbook that you can pre-order. I don't have the link today, but what do they have to Google or...
Keto Made Easy, Fat Adapted 50-Day Guide.
Search it on Amazon.
Yeah, you can pre-order it really anywhere. The Barnes & Nobles, Target, Costco, I believe. But Amazon's going to be your cheapest right now. So the more people that pre-order, the lower the price drops. That's how it works. And Matt, you should get that title down because it is your second cookbook as well.
That's true.
I
don't focus on the superficial stuff. It's all about the inside of the book. Title doesn't matter.
Yeah, but like you got to be sharing it. What if I wasn't here?
Yeah. Nikki Bunny, $10 donation. Couple goals for my boyfriend and I. Yeah. Don't compare your relationship to internet relationships, number one.
But
we appreciate
but if you're going to compare it to one, it should be ours.
But a couple new things going on here. We got... Oh, dang it. The desktop display is not working. No.
Someone said I think she's 35. I don't know if you're talking about me, but I am 29.
I can fix this midstream.
And apparently, you're right. Someone on Facebook said we're going to have a lot of hair on the baby. Yes, we are, because when we saw his most recent ultrasound, you could see like all the fuzzy hair that was coming off of his head. So a lot of hair there. Is keto safe while pregnant? I've been doing a keto pregnancy. I would definitely consult your doctor. I would do your due diligence with research. I'm going to be doing videos with resources, and I'll definitely share those. I'll definitely do a blog post with things I bought, resources and things. But I would feel it out. Definitely focus less on like the diet aspect, like keto and low nourishing, and making sure you're getting all your nutrient needs for you and your baby. So that's what my focus was always on. The screen keeps shrinking. Yes, Matt's
trying to
fix
figure this
it.
out. It's not. Usually I can share the screen. This is going to be an issue.
How far along are you? I'm 35 weeks. Someone said I'll be 35 weeks tomorrow. Just wondering how many weeks you are. I'm 35 weeks and 2 days. So we are very close. But that was, yeah, okay. Sorry about the screen size. It's going in and out. Matt's trying to fix it, but I'm still with you. I'm only on Facebook, though.
Oh, boy. We're having trouble here, guys.
Now the sound is going in and out. What is this?
I'm trying to figure something out. I can't, the screen share thing's not working today.
So we just can't show you pictures?
This is not good.
I can pull them up on my phone and put them to the... We've done that before.
Yeah, I guess that might be the best backup. And did we say what we have? It's a cauliflower crust pizza.
So this was a surprise. We had a dinner planned, but this was quicker, more convenient. So Matt made this, and he really likes it. I like it too. But with my like current situation, I might just have a little bit like, just the constipation, the baby's taking a lot of room up, a heartburn.
I've already eaten a lot today too. I had like a 2 p.m. meal that led to a cascade of some snacks afterwards. So smaller dinner than usual, but I've eaten my fair share today.
And then I have my probiotic drink, which is probably going to be like my main part of the dinner. Help with my gut and just, make me feel good. So
I set a reminder here on YouTube, but nothing came up for me. So I learned that there's actually 3 different settings for notifications. There's like, I don't know what they are, but you have to like go to make sure that it's notifying you for all things that we publish if you really want to get everything. So just make sure you have the right setting, but otherwise, yeah, sometimes YouTube messes up and I don't know, it doesn't send all the
Did you get the $10 donation?
No. Did I? No. Nikki, oh, yeah, a couple goals.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
There's a $2 donation, though, from Bob Waters. Thank you, Bob.
Cascade of snacks. Someone loved that.
Dr. Barrett ordered the book.
Hey, Dad! I hope that's my dad.
You're getting a free
one. I feel
one.
like in India there are a lot of men with the same name.
Okay.
Yeah, Dad, of course you're getting a free one. You don't ever need to buy things from me.
Oh, this is a problem that I can't share because my mini mystery has an important photo to it.
Oh, but should I pull it up on my phone?
Yeah, you might have to pull it up on your phone. I'll send you my document that has all the pictures in it.
Okay.
This is unfortunate, guys. Sorry.
The pizza looks delish. Yeah, we've had it before. So it's the new... Well, it's Real Good Pizza. It's cauliflower crust pizza, but they like redid it because the original one was like too crusty and too cauliflowery. So this one's a lot better.
I thought the original one was fine too, though.
You like that one better?
Good, yeah.
You like it better? I like this one better. I wouldn't have eaten the other one if I'm being honest. I would just do chicken crust. Oh, that's what you should have made me, mini chicken crust.
We have those in there.
I know, but now it's light.
Okay, guys, so mini mystery. The mini mystery today is Le Loyon. And it's really quick. The photo is necessary for this. Essentially, there was a figure seen repeatedly by multiple people in the Swiss countryside. This is between, I believe, the year 2003 and 2010. Just like a person wearing a long military style, like wetsuit, not a wetsuit, but like a rain suit and a gas mask, and just like strolling along the countryside. Sometimes he was in the woods, sometimes he was along a country road. And there's only one photo of this man that's ever been taken. And it was like a big mystery for a while. Can you get into it? And we'll show you the photo. It's a really low quality photo.
Which email do I have to be signed into to access it? Keto Connect?
Oh, maybe it's not shared with you. This is a disaster.
Is it your email? Because then, yeah, it's not shared with me.
Yeah.
Can you just send me the image?
Oh, yeah. One sec, guys.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
Someone watched our case today
Yeah, someone said
about Lakeland, Florida. It made my day. I was born and raised there.
Someone said they looked at the case based on the title, and they did some research before Murder She Ate tonight.
Oh, yay! That's awesome.
So there's the image. You got it?
Yeah. Whoa. That it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's the image of the man. I can show it.
Oh.
You see, this was just a hiker took this photo. It's really low quality.
It's like a man in a cape and like a helmet, right? That's what it looks
Yeah.
like to me.
And multiple, like hundreds of sightings of this man in the Swiss countryside. And it eventually became like a relatively big thing, and the man came forward and he was like, yeah, that's me. I do this all the time. I feel really comfortable wearing this outfit and walking through the countryside. It's like my form of meditation. And he actually wrote a few things that got published in the local paper, and they were like just stories about life, like his kind of opinion on life. Like I didn't read them, but it was supposedly really nicely written, and he was just like a nice man. But he wasn't. Everyone kept bothering him because it became such a thing, so he could no longer do this. But it was just like his form of meditation.
Is that it?
Yeah, so he stopped doing it now.
That's funny. Do you think it was actually him?
Yeah.
Interesting. I always take walks in hazmat suits and gas masks. Got to train for those chemical attacks.
$20 donation from Vinda B06. Love these mysteries. I'm so into these and serial killer documentaries and true crimes also. Sounds creepy, I know. Love you guys. From Vin Davis, Pennsylvania.
We love you too. You actually sent us the big blue blanket.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have that in the baby room.
Yeah, it's on the rocking chair. Thank you. Made your keto pound cake this morning. That recipe a ton of people are making. It's like, I don't know. I'm impressed at how many people are making the blueberry walnut pound cake. I feel like this is Matt in the future.
It could be. It could really be. I can see the beauty in it though. Because have you guys ever been out in the winter when you're like all bundled up, you got the snow pants on, and you just feel impenetrable? And you're just kind of like in your own mind walking around like you're listening to the snow squeak between your boots and stuff. It's kind of enjoyable.
Yeah.
Or if you have ever worn a raincoat out in the rain.
Does he have any treat wrappers?
Julius, hey, what do you got? He's got a wrapper.
Matt just leaves his treat wrappers everywhere. Who do you follow that does true crime? Podcasts, YouTubes? Podcasts are huge. The True Crime Garage. I really like Small Town Murder. It's like they're comedians.
The best one is Generation Y.
Generation Y.
Should I cut this?
Sure. Is it hot? There, put the glove in.
You want to start your case? And if you guys are new,
Someone made our taco omelet today. It was so good.
if you guys are new, this is not a keto show. It's just about true crime and like hanging out and eating dinner together.
But in the beginning, between cases, and at the end, we get to some questions. Of course, we have to.
The other interesting development I was going to share with you guys, if I could screen share, is that you know that brand that makes like milk products? It's called Horizon Organics.
Yeah.
They bought the URL ketoconnect.com
Dicks.
and they redirect to their website.
Because it was originally like some foreign company. And
I think it was originally a conference.
Yeah, but it was like a conference, and they had it since we bought KetoConnect.net. Like we didn't have the option to buy .com,
No,
right?
it was taken.
Yeah. So then I guess we didn't keep close enough tabs on it, or we didn't even have like, Horizon's obviously a way big dairy company. They're gonna know when it's for sale and get it. Tina Sutton, $5 donation. Thank you so much.
But I don't know what that really does for them because they're just redirecting traffic that is trying to come to our website to their website, and you can't even buy things on their website. So I guess you just like see their logo and you're like, oh, there's Horizon Dairy. Like
It's cool.
It's way more valuable to us than it is to them. So maybe they would sell it to us, but I don't know. Maybe we could start like some kind of crazy online
petition.
Petition, yeah, like Beauty and the Beast style, where we just.
Beauty and the Beast style.
You know how they like everyone gets the lanterns and they go like hunting for the beast?
Yeah,
we can do that for Horizon Kinetic.
That's what you
Horizon.
think of first thing.
Yeah. Horizon.
Homebodies Adventures, thank you for the donation. Y'all have changed my outlook on long-term focus on food and how I feel rather than the now and scale victories. Thanks
That's
for
beautiful.
everything, especially MSA. That is really beautiful. Good for you, though. Jessica Go, thank you for the $20 donation. Please say hi to my 6-year-old son, Matthew, and doesn't watch Murder, She Ate. He doesn't watch Murder, She Ate, but begged for a shout out after you said hi to my mom last week. Thank you for all you do. Was your mom Diana? Was that who we said we were
Yeah.
going to say? Hi, so. Matthew. Say hi, Matthew.
Hi, Matthew. If you guys are wondering, 1/4 of this pizza is 8 net carbs. And this is what it looks like. You can find them in Walmart, I think, Publix.
Rachel Wilkos, thank you for the $5 donation. Thank you so much, guys. Such an inspiration. I'm burning the ships after my last summer vacay.
Woo!
Nice. Thank you, Ryan Robinson, as well for the donation. Thanks for your motivational videos on keto. Yeah,
You starting your story? It's almost 6.
I'm getting through all the donations.
Oh.
Okay, now I'm starting my story. It's a little long. Okay, so I'm doing the case of the disappearance of Brianna Maitland. Is that how you say it?
I think so.
A lot of people may recognize this case for reasons we'll get to at the very end. Okay, so Brianna disappeared on the 19th of March, 2004 at the age of 17 from Montgomery, Vermont, where she was living at the time. She was very independent at the time of her disappearance because she had actually moved out of her family house on her 17th birthday and moved in with her boyfriend. There wasn't like...
On her 17th birthday, she moved in with her boyfriend.
Yeah. So there wasn't exact knowledge as to why, but the two speculations, and I think it's the second one, was that she didn't get along with her parents, but like there was no way to like actually, what's it called?
So she had terrible parents.
Say that was the case. No.
Well, I mean, it's pretty objective. She moved out at age 17 to live with a man. Her parents were bad.
I mean, what are they gonna do?
Raise her better?
I don't know. We could get into that, but like, but there was also speculation that she just wanted to live near the high school that her friends went to, so she could go to that high school, which I think is actually the case here. So her and her boyfriend had some issues after they moved in, so they ended up splitting up, and she moved out of their place about 4 months later, and then she moved in with a childhood friend, Jillian. Brianna continued to attend school for a while, and she was also had 2 jobs to support herself, so that's good to me. Like, she's still supporting herself and going to school. But at this new school she was attending, she was bullied a lot, and she didn't fit in or have a really good experience there, so she dropped out, and she started a GED program. But 3 weeks before the disappearance, Brianna went to a house party where she was physically assaulted by a girl named Keely LaCrosse. And
Is this a police record of this assault? Or
Brianna ended up in the hospital. Yeah, it was. So Brianna ended up in the hospital with needing stitches and a bad concussion and a black eye. But interestingly enough, apparently the other girl wasn't too injured, but Brianna was trained in jiu-jitsu, where, if that was true, she would have probably been able to handle herself a little better.
Okay, so we have a 17-year-old who moved out of home, dropped out of high school, and is also trained in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, maybe she took classes and stuff.
This is a person like no one I've ever met before.
I'm sure there's a lot of people you haven't met, babe. The motive, unclear at the time, but rumors have said that it was over a boy. That kind of makes sense, right? Like 17-year-old girls. I don't know. Maybe it was just Keely's part in terms of the boy.
Yeah, nothing wins a man's heart over like a triangle choke.
But there are some men that are really into that. You know that.
A small percentage.
That like girls fighting. Like they get their cameras out and they egg it on. Guys are disgusting.
They might like the idea of 2 women fighting over them, but they don't like the actual act of a woman fist fighting someone.
I think they do.
Maybe.
I'm sure there's men watching right now who are like, yeah, guilty. So B filed a criminal case with the police, but it was actually dropped by the DA after she disappeared. So it was being prosecuted like Keely was. Okay. So it was taken very seriously.
17-year-old girls are terrifying. That is really true. I couldn't imagine.
So are 17-year-old boys. They light cats on fire.
But man, girls are so much more just competitive in weird ways where it's at least men to your face, it's you're probably gonna have to fight at some point.
I don't know.
It's more out in the open.
I think 17-year-olds in general, depending on where you grew up, of course.
$2 donation from Kate. She says, these are my favorite videos.
Oh, thank you. So on the day of Brianna's disappearance, she had taken her GED test and passed. Woo!
On the day of her disappearance?
Yeah. So she had went out to lunch that afternoon with her mom to celebrate. And the chat they were having, according to the mom, was positive. It was about Brianna being excited to start her future, making plans for college, and making something out of herself.
So it would seem weird to me because one theory is always that you just walk away from life if you're an adult that disappears. You wouldn't do that on the day you pass a GED test, usually, right? That you've been studying for and stuff.
And you hang out with your mom.
Yeah.
So after lunch, they decide to go shopping, and while in the store, something catches Brianna's eye outside. So she heads outside while her mom is just like inside shopping. And then eventually her mom joins her outside, but Brianna at this point seems really agitated and tense, and all according to her mom. So she asks to be dropped off at home. So her mom drops her off without asking what happened. That makes sense, right? Like, it's your 17-year-old child. She lives alone. She's very independent. You're like, all right, maybe she's going through some stuff. So nothing's inquired about.
It might have been like a girl she got in a fight with or something, right?
Yeah, it could be really anything. We don't know. So that night, so the same night she passed her GED exam and saw her mom, she had a shift at the restaurant where she was a dishwasher. I think it was called the Black Lantern Inn or something. And before leaving that night for her shift, she leaves a note for her roommate saying she's going to work and that she'll be back later that night. Pretty normal. And it was 2004, just as a reminder. So like, maybe she didn't have a phone, maybe they didn't have phones. Notes were just like normal, right?
Yeah.
And according to everyone on the shift that night, it was just a normal night, really uneventful. Her shift ends at 11:30 p.m. and the other workers ask her to stay, grab a bite, hang out, but she says she has to leave, and she does leave because she has another work shift for her second job early the next morning. So responsible.
Man, she's really grinding.
Yeah, so this was, according to the coworkers, this was around 11:20 p.m. to 12 a.m., but probably somewhere closer to like 11:20 if her shift ended around then.
Was this on a weekend?
It was Friday. So the next day, several people report an abandoned car about a mile, 1.4 miles exactly, from where she was working that night, and it was Brianna's. And the rear was stuck in an abandoned farmhouse, and this farmhouse was also known to be a place where a lot of druggies hung out and a lot of drugs took place. So now we gotta share the picture.
Yeah.
And I just want to show you what the car in the farmhouse looks like.
I'm sending it to you.
Because it was the butt of the car that was stuck in
That's the wrong one.
into the farmhouse. Yeah.
That's the wrong one.
Yeah, it is. Okay. So that's what it looked like.
There's a picture. It's hard to do. There it is. You can see it's like weirdly into the back. It's an abandoned farmhouse.
It's like reversed into, an abandoned farmhouse that is known to be where drug addicts hang out, do drugs, hang out, just...
Very weird position because...
There's a lot we can talk about it. In terms of like the actual farmhouse, it wasn't seriously damaged. So like, it's not like a really fast accident reverse,
Yeah.
But we'll get into that in a sec here.
I'm having one last piece.
Okay, have a bigger one.
No,
I'm probably not gonna eat both of those, my belly.
I want this one.
Okay, so the officer that reported to this when people were, calling it in, assumed it was just a random abandoned car. So he immediately has it towed away without taking any photos or inquiring about it. And this...
Who took that photo?
Right, and this is like destroying evidence, right? So terrible police work from the start. But fortunately, there were some people who had driven by and found the scene to be so odd that they took photos themselves. That's where we got these photos.
Here's my thing. Every single case we do, it's like the police work is terrible. I think all it is like most of the time it's not a missing person, right? Most of the time it's just an abandoned car.
But my question is, and I bring this up later, but we can talk about it now, is if a police officer finds an abandoned car, is it like regulatory or mandatory to check who it belongs to and call that person or call it in? Or is it like, probably. This is a junk car, I'm just going to get rid of it?
You're right, they probably check on it.
Yeah, you would check like who it's registered to.
You call the license plate in, yeah. I always hear cops calling license plates in.
Yeah, so it's weird that he didn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
He just had it towed and that was it. So that's why I thought, like,
So you're saying maybe police involvement here. I see where you're going.
no, I'm not saying that.
Oh, okay.
But I just think that was just, Montgomery, Vermont, maybe not. And like, they were like, oh, it's a drug hangout, so they didn't really care, right? It was just shoddy work. So in the car, there were 2 uncashed checks from her job that night. They were sitting on the passenger seat, along with clothes, makeup, driver's license, contact lenses, her migraine prescription, so a lot. There was also some vomit in the car.
No cash though.
No cash, but $150 in uncashed paychecks.
She could, no one. If someone was robbing her though, they couldn't cash the checks. So maybe they just took money. If it was a robbery.
Maybe, yeah. So there was also some vomit in the car, but it was so hard to tell since it had been several days since the car was checked, because they didn't check the car immediately, right? They checked it like 4 to 5 days afterwards, because that's when they put it all together. So they couldn't tell if it was fresh from the night before or it had been there for a while. So that's unfortunate.
Well, you don't just leave vomit in your car though. So I'm assuming that happened close to the disappearance, like night of the disappearance.
Right, but also like whose vomit was it? There's so many things that could have come of it that unfortunately nothing happened because the police officer didn't call in the car. He just got it towed.
Yeah. So it seems like she wasn't out drinking that night, right?
We would assume
Do
not.
we know her whereabouts that night, like after she left, or that's the last
No, that was
night
the last time she was seen.
Okay.
So some of her belongings were also outside of the car, lying in the grass, like her water bottle, loose change, a cigarette, a necklace, and there was a lime wedge on the trunk of her car. So like, whatever, lime wedge, not a big deal, but just weird, right? So her car was 1.4 miles away from her job, so it would have only taken her a couple minutes to drive to that spot, right? Mm-hmm. Technically. And the car was unlocked when it was found, and the officer that finally checked it noticed the checks that were sitting in the passenger seat were from the Black Lantern. So he went to the Black Lantern to inquire, but they were closed, so he just leaves it at that. He never goes back. They don't really do any more research there.
Did the car start? Was it operational?
She had the keys.
Okay.
But that's what we know. So the car wasn't even actually registered to Brianna. It was registered to her mom, Kelly. But Kelly was never notified of this incident or her daughter missing for a really long time, until it was known that Brianna was actually missing. And how we find out, it was several days later that her disappearance was discovered, because Jillian had returned that same night and saw the note from Brianna and was like, okay, that's cool, she'll be back. And then Jillian leaves for the weekend to go stay at her boyfriend's. So Jillian returns on Monday morning, and she notices nothing in the apartment had been touched, thinking it was slightly strange, but she also just assumes maybe Brianna went and stayed with her parents and hadn't come home for the weekend.
So Jillian's her current roommate.
Her childhood friend, current roommate. And then it wasn't until on Tuesday when Jillian decides, hey, let me check up on Brianna, calls the parents, and then the parents hadn't seen her or heard from her since Friday either, so that's when they realized something had happened. So
this is a 17-year-old child.
Yes.
That goes missing for multiple days, and no one knows that she's missing.
Yeah.
So this is just a catastrophe of adult supervision in her life.
Well, it's 4 days that, she was missing and just are lost now because the car wasn't called in. I think that's the biggest mistake.
The biggest mistake is that these 2 people had a child.
No.
I would say.
You're being absurd. That's ridiculous to even say. Because that's a lot of people in this world. So the parents call all of Brianna's friends, but no one had heard from her since last Friday either. And as the investigation into Brianna starts, the police finally make the connection between the abandoned car and Brianna. So this is where I start to think, would police normally contact the owner or just have the car towed? But I think we're at consensus, you would contact the owner of an abandoned car.
You at least check who the owner is, right? You do the plate lookup.
The license, yeah.
Yeah. They do that in 5 seconds. They just call it into the dispatch.
Yeah. So the parents end up seeing the photo of the car that you guys just saw. find it obviously very haunting. That would just worry me to no end if it was my child. And they knew something was wrong. The police never found the keys of the car, and they never looked in the trunk of the car. So the dad ends up, so like they don't even look in the trunk. That's super weird, right? The dad goes down to the police, the place where the car is being held. He opens the trunk with a crowbar, and luckily he finds nothing. He was like, I'm gonna find my dead daughter in the trunk, right? That's what my fear would be. And at first the police had just treated it as a runaway. She's 17, you know, she's young. But eventually the crime scene was thought of as odd, like the picture you saw at the crime scene. And there was some discussion of the crime scene being staged by Brianna. So would you go through all that effort to just disappear? Would you leave those things behind? Would you take the uncashed checks, right?
You would cash the checks.
Yeah. If you were just walking away, you staged it.
Well, you also wouldn't pass a GED and then disappear. It seems like an odd choice because that's an uplifting day, probably.
Yeah.
And why would you leave your car like that?
That seems like too much effort.
Yeah, you would just like park it. I don't think you would. The backing it into a weird place like that is what seems odd. Why would you back it up like that?
Yeah. So eventually the cops changed their mind about the fact that it was a runaway because of the uncashed checks. Like they're like, she's young, she would take the $150. So in their minds, either she intended to return to the scene or she was forcibly removed. So witness calls that come in regarding this case. So someone calls in and says that between 11:30 and 12:30 he drove by the car and the headlights were on.
So when did this call come in? This is
afterwards. So after
we
everything
know
was
someone's
public.
missing?
Yeah.
See, I always don't put like the most weight on that type of scenario. It could just be someone calling to have fun.
Yeah. I don't know actually when these were then, maybe.
But that makes sense. The lights were on between 11:30 and 12:30.
Someone else calls and says that between 12 and 12:30 a.m. someone saw saw the indicators on.
Like the hazard lights?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the ex-boyfriend that we talked about before, he drove by around 4 a.m. and saw Brianna's car and knew it was hers, but he didn't think much of it. So, like, why he would admit that if it weren't true, I'm putting some weight into that.
What does that mean?
Like, if he didn't actually see the car at 4 a.m., why would he call that in, right? Like, you were saying, like, you're not putting weight on the witness calls if it's after the fact?
Yeah, it's almost like too suspicious to where I'm like, maybe he's just being honest. And like, because ex-boyfriend, of course, he's like the first suspect, right? So why would you identify that you saw her car and just thought nothing of it?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So he did actually
I
see
agree.
it. I'm putting weight on what he said, as if it's true.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I mean, the car was definitely there at 4 a.m. So we're just trying to narrow down the window of when this happened.
I'm just giving you everything we know. Yeah. So the police looked heavily into Keely LaCrosse, that girl that had beat her up, because there would be clear motive here, right? So the DA was pressing serious charges, so she was going to court, and so, you know, you would think, like, if Brianna goes missing, then the case will be dropped, and that's exactly what happened here. So there's actual, you know, reasonable doubt as to why she might be a part of this, but she did have a solid alibi. So
what was her alibi?
I don't know, but it didn't matter. So that's that. And then the biggest theory that's out there, more like rumors, is that it was a disappearance that was drug related. So she owed a lot of money to a drug dealer, and then the person she saw outside when she was shopping with her mom happened to be this drug dealer.
Did she do drugs?
So that's like up in the air. I mean, did we all do drugs as kids?
At age 17 now.
Yeah, no. At 17, I didn't do drugs either. But like around, maybe in this town, maybe her friends, maybe
And
her
what does
boyfriend.
drugs mean? Because if you owe a drug dealer, we're talking like
I don't.
meth, cocaine. We're not just talking like you smoke weed once in a while.
I think it was more like she did drugs at parties and it was like smoking weed. So
And-
I don't put a lot of weight on the drug dealer thing. That's always an option. Like, why do people owe so many other drug dealers money? And if you did owe the drug dealer money, why would they kill you if they want the money?
Yeah, but the whole thing, to get to the point where you owe a drug dealer money, that's like a spin-up process of 6 months to a couple years, right? You don't just start doing drugs and then you're owing a drug dealer money. You like dabble a little bit, right? Especially at age 17.
But if she doesn't have money, if she's been like getting fronted for all these drugs for a long time, it could add up. Maybe it's like a couple hundred,
It might
maybe it's a
just
couple
be
thousand.
like a couple $100.
But regardless, that's just one of the rumors out there, and that's always one of the rumors, right? When drugs could potentially be involved with a young person.
Seems far-fetched for me.
Yeah. So one day, the police get an anonymous call that she was being held captive in a basement of a drug den about 11 miles from the farmhouse. But the police do end up checking it out because it was a well-known drug den, and the two drug dealers that were staying there were known to just like be associated with Brianna in some ways. Like they just ran in the same group, maybe same parties.
Oh, we got a cool theory here. Someone says accidental OD. Other druggies get rid of the body. That would explain the vomit too. I like that.
And they put the car there like that.
Yeesh.
The car is what gets me.
Maybe she OD. But does she have a reputation for, I guess we don't know how often she showed up to work. Like, is she always there on time? Never missed days, never calls in sick?
Not that we know of. I don't think
Okay.
there's any issue. So one of the drug dealers at this house was Ramon Ryans. So he comes up a little bit later. So, and he comes up where another person came forward implicating Ramon Ryans as well, saying he killed her in the basement of the farmhouse, cut her up, and fed her to pigs. So Ramon Ryan comes up twice by two different people as possibly being connected to murdering Brianna. So the way the car was reversed into the house, it didn't seem like a serious high-speed accident based on the damage to the car and the damage to the house. So, like, thoughts on that, right? She might have accidentally reversed instead of driving forward out of fear of something. Maybe she like stopped to park. Someone pulled, like someone came up to the window. She got scared and she put the car in reverse, right? Someone was waiting for her in the back seat and she suddenly reversed. But like, it just doesn't make sense the way she was driving. The farmhouse was on the opposite side of the road. So she was driving this way, the farmhouse was on this side. So she had to have like stopped, come over. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me.
I don't understand how her car would ever end up in that position.
But if there's anything to be known, it makes more sense that the car was stopped before it was reversed into the house. Does that make sense? You're not even listening.
Yeah, it makes sense that the car was stopped before it was reversed into the house.
Why?
Before it like hit the house?
Yeah.
Because you said there was not a lot of damage.
Right. Just
Quit testing me.
checking in.
Okay.
So that's really okay. Well, I'll keep going. So
It is not a known fact that she did drugs.
someone said that.
No, someone's asking, and I'm answering. It's not really a known fact.
Right, like if she was heavily into drugs or she was just dabbling and
Knowing-
having fun.
Knowing what I know about her life, she's probably done drugs, but it's hard for me to then
A lot
say.
of it's rumors.
Yeah.
So the case that I was talking about in the beginning was Maura Murray. So this case is linked to Maura Murray's case, disappearance, which happened 5 weeks before, about 90 miles away, but the authorities do rule out it as a connection.
They do?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then a couple months later, after Brianna's disappearance, another young girl goes missing. And this is before the police rule anything out. So people start to suspect a serial killer in the area.
Mm-hmm.
But this girl's murder was solved. So it wasn't a serial killer. And then Ramon Ryans was eventually arrested on serious drug charges, makes sense. And he agreed to a plea bargain of lesser charges if he gave information on Brianna. So he actually gets off with a misdemeanor, but we're never told what he says to the police. But
Whoa!
it must
So he
have been
told them something.
Yeah, but it leads to nothing. There's no new leads in the case, but I wonder what he did say.
So he really played the police then.
Yeah. So many people believe Ramon Ryans, that drug dealer, was directly involved, but there's nothing shown to implicate him. And then in January 2006, a man calls in saying that he saw Brianna at a casino gambling. So the police pull all that footage, and while the girl looks like her, and even the parents are like, yeah, they can corroborate that, The footage is so grainy, and I saw the picture, and like, it's just a brown-haired girl, so you can't tell for sure. She was with another man. Neither of them have been traced, but she was pretty average looking, just brown hair, white, like skinny. So it could have like just been anyone, I feel like. So yeah, I think just like the biggest mistake in all of this was the initial towing of the car. That officer should feel like a shitbag.
Well, we have some connection of her to drugs now because a guy who sold drugs gave info to police and got a lesser
Yeah,
sentence.
we don't know, but yeah.
So a guy who sold drugs knows a lot about her case, or knows some details about her case. So to me, I like this theory of an OD cover-up. Someone says OD cover-up, would you take care of the car too? Maybe, but how do you really take care of a car is the thing. You like drive down with someone, drop a car off like in another state and drive back.
Are you driving into a river or something? I don't know.
Take the license plate off. You could do more, definitely more to cover up the car, like the identity of who owns it.
What is the girl's full name? It's Brianna Maitland, Maitlande.
Zoe Rose. $5 donation. Good morning from Australia. Can't thank you guys enough for your videos. They have been the biggest help and support for me on my keto journey.
It's definitely Zoe. Why would you ever say Zoe?
I don't know. Zoe.
I think it's Zoe. Z-O-E, right, guys? Have you guys... Oh, that's not... But someone asked if we tried the plant-based cauliflower pizza from Pizza Pizza?
No.
I've never heard of Pizza Pizza.
Someone said it looks like there was some tire spinning in this picture near the rear.
Was there? Because I thought there wasn't.
It doesn't look like there is. You guys can pull up this photo on your own too if you want to.
Just look up Brianna Maitland car picture.
Miley, move. It doesn't look like there's a lot of spinning, if there's any at all, on the back tires. It's so weird that it's... Is the trunk open or is that a board sitting on the hood?
I think it's just a board covering a window on the farmhouse.
So it knocked off the board from that window. And that's what's sitting on the back there? That's so weird. And this house was easily accessible, so they wouldn't have needed to like break that window to get in.
Right.
There's beer. It looks like there's beer cans near the car. Some kind of cans on the ground there.
Yeah.
Julius, no. So what's your theory on this? What do you guys got for theories?
I guess I didn't think too much into it. I think obviously she didn't leave on her own.
Yeah, I'm ruling that one out completely.
I think I like the OD one. I hadn't thought about that one. And you know, her body's just hidden. But like, why would druggies go through such an extent to hide her body when it's like that's just a known place? Like if they left her body there, no one's gonna be, you know, prosecuted or like.
Yeah, it could have just been an overdose. You could have framed it better probably if
it
you
was
kept
an
her
overdose, then it would just be like an overdose. Nothing would happen.
Well, maybe you would like try finding who sold her the drugs and stuff like that. Crack down. I don't think this idea, like since she was in a fight a few weeks earlier, that people get in fights. I think that's probably just unrelated. It doesn't mean you're gonna kill a person.
No, her boyfriend, you're saying?
No, didn't she get in a fight with a girl?
Oh, Keely? Yeah.
Sex traffic abduction, that's what, that's always like, I guess, in play, but sex traffic abductions are usually younger than that, right? Not 17-year-olds? I'm sure 17-year-olds
I mean, did you see
potentially could
Taken with Liam Neeson, one of the best movies ever? His daughter was like 17.
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, you're missing out. Right, guys? Taken's like the best movie ever.
The average age for entry into sex trafficking is 12 to 14 years old. So,
in the U.S.? That's everywhere.
That's into prostitution, not into sex trafficking. I guess these figures are probably hard to find.
Yeah. They don't send out like a form to all the neighbors.
Julius, hey. Julius.
She was there with someone drinking, maybe OD'd, and the person with her, also on drugs, freaked out and disposed of the body. The house was burned down in July of 2016 where the car was. Yeah, I remember seeing that in the Mara Murray case.
That's interesting.
She may have backed her car in so the license plate wasn't obviously readable to passerbys. Yeah. But that's assuming she did that intentionally. Where did this happen? It happened in Montgomery, Vermont. Someone said what kind of pizza? It was the Real Good Foods new cauliflower crust pizza.
Okay, you guys ready for my case? Buckle in, because this is a doozy.
Oh, you're short for time.
Some kids in Massachusetts just recently dropped off their friend at the ER who had died of an accidental OD.
Yeah, that's scary, right?
I mean, if your friend has an OD, I just call the police, right? Are you, I guess if you're doing drugs with them, are you then
You
maybe...
could get in trouble.
Yeah. Okay, guys, this...
Does that make you a bad friend?
Yeah.
If you just drop them off at the ER?
Yeah. It makes you a bad friend.
very bad
But I
friend,
mean,
right?
I have, I don't know, like, self-preservation is a pretty strong driving force, right? Like, I have friends that I would probably...
But you know their parents so well.
Yeah, I have friends that I'm dying for, but I also, like, there's a handful of them. But then I have most friends I'm probably dropping off at the hospital and running away. Like 90% of my friends.
Especially, what if it's like just an acquaintance who you happen to be partying with? Then
Then of course. Okay, guys, this is the story of Ben McDaniel. This is a mind bender. So he's 30 years old. This takes place in 2010 in Florida. So we're going to start off with the disappearance. Around 7:30 p.m., Ben is diving in what is known as Vortex Spring, and he is never seen again. So Vortex Spring is a scuba diving destination in Florida. The spring has
He's alone?
Yeah, he was alone, which is just not good to do. You don't scuba dive alone. So the spring has a deep cave that is a favorite diving location. It's actually the most popular scuba diving location in Florida. So 2 days later, there's an employee that notices his truck, and he's like a regular at this point. There's his truck has been in the parking lot of the area where you like rent scuba gear, but he has all his own gear. But his car's been there for 2 days. The employee notices it, and he's like, okay, something's up here, calls the police. Everyone immediately assumes the worst case scenario, that he died deep in the cave, which happens. People die in this cave often. Like, I think annually there's a few deaths. So, a little bit about the spring. You got to pull up the picture I sent to you. So the spring, it starts off, first let me motion it with my hands. Okay. It's a large bowl where this is where most of the recreational scuba divers are diving, right? It's just this huge, like, open area. You can go down about 150 feet, but it's called a vortex because it all funnels like a bathtub down into this one area here that's gated off. You need a key to get through. And from there, there's like more of a treacherous journey, and it gets more treacherous the further in you go. So you need a key and you need certification to get through the gate. And then there's a series of what divers call restrictions. So like you go past the gate and there's like some open area, and then there's the first restriction, which is a more treacherous, like really small part that you kind of have to squeeze through. But the first one you don't really have to squeeze through. It's just like a little bit of a narrowing. And then it progressively, the third, the second, the third, the fourth. The fourth one is like you have to squeeze your body in, you have to put your tank through it first. It gets more and more treacherous. And here's
that one?
Yeah. So this is what the spring looks
Here.
like. What?
You want me to?
Julia's on my lap. So this is what the spring looks like, okay?
Want me to point
It
things
sucks
out?
that we have to do it like this. This is the main, yeah. So you can see where the main entrance is?
Where is it?
The basin.
Right here.
Yeah, the basin. And then all the action happens once you get into the cave,
So
the
there's
entrance.
that first restriction right there.
Yep,
And then this is the fourth one down here.
yeah.
But you can see it gets narrower and you have to pass through that.
And they just have a bunch of like nicknames for things, but you'll notice there's really just one way in and one way out. It's not like
One
you
way
can,
in?
yeah, it's not like you can like turn and go different ways, so it would be confusing if you get lost. And there's a diving line that's installed. So what it looks like, it's kind of like a PVC pipe on the floor the entire time that you're in the cave. You can like hang on to it, you can pull yourself. But it's like, and they have lights on, so it's pretty clear like the way you're supposed to go and the way out. The gate required a key, which you could only get by leaving your diving certification at the front desk. Ben was not certified, okay?
Oh yeah, someone said you need a special certification to dive in this area.
Yeah, to go past the gate.
Whoa, that's scary.
So, here's what's been going on in Ben's life for the past few years. His 22-year-old brother died from a stroke in 2008. 2 years before, this is 2 years before Ben disappeared in 2010 in the cave, which I haven't fully explained yet. But they were very close at the time. They did lots of outdoor activities together. That was how they bonded. Ben had also started a successful business by the time he was 30. However, over the last year, his best employee had quit, started his own business, and started like stealing all of his customers. And you'll also know 2008, that was like the financial crisis. He had a lot of real estate, so like his finances definitely took a turn for to the south. Just like he was living high, great life, had everything set out for him, had his own business, running the game. Things came crashing down.
What's that?
So that's kind of where his mind state is at. He had to sell his house, which I think was like maybe a $500,000 house, to pay off his debts. Had to move back in with his parents. Luckily for him, his parents had multiple houses, one of which was a condo in Florida. So they let him live in the condo by himself. At this point, is when Ben rediscovers his love for scuba diving, which he did as a youth. So he was like pretty proficient in scuba diving. He took some time off from it, and now he's on, I think he called it like a sabbatical. Is that what you would call it?
Yeah.
Like a 4-month, he's basically just really focusing on scuba diving, and he's not working, he's just living in the condo, scuba diving every day. Doing 3 to 4 dives a day.
Okay, that's commitment.
And some notes that maybe his life had been turning around is he has a girlfriend and he has this dog, and everyone talks about the dog. He loved the dog so much. He would like go on dates with it, go on walks with it, would never leave it except to go dive. Day of the disappearance. So Ben is heading in to dive around 7:30
PM? AM.
7:30 p.m. The resort and diving area close at 5. So this also goes to show that Ben, he didn't really pay attention to the rules. He was just kind of like did what he wanted to do.
But you have access?
I don't know. Like, I think he just had a handshake agreement with some of the employees that ran the place. So yeah, he just like walked in at 7:30 because he had all his own gear. He basically could just pull up and jump into the water and get going.
Okay.
I think the only thing he needed was some tanks to be filled, but you could do that. This is like a diving town, so you could do that anywhere. You didn't have to do it at this particular place. The cave had been measured and mapped pretty extensively to 1,600 feet. There's one way in and one way out. Over the course of a few months, Ben had logged 200 dives in the cave. And just for some reference, like the world-class divers, they'll have like 2,000 plus dives. So Ben is like,
Not a ton.
he's not world class, but he's putting in a lot of hours. But people that have looked over this are like, he was speeding through everything, and he was like doing it in a really obsessive manner, skipping steps. That
Not
was just,
listening to rules, obviously.
yeah. So the employee at the front desk the day of the disappearance is interviewed, and he says he had seen Ben go underneath the gate on multiple occasions. So without a key, just kind of shimmy under the gate.
Why was the employee there at 7:30?
On multiple occasions.
Oh, not that
Yeah.
night. Okay.
So when Ben was heading for the gate on this day, apparently the employee was still there because he said he opened the gate for him. So a lot of people read into this, and the prevailing theory is that this one employee just always opened the gate for Ben.
Okay.
Maybe not though. Maybe he just opened it this one time. He says he did this because he saw Ben going under the gate previously and it was dangerous. You could get stuck. So he just thought, okay, I'll help him under. So there's a sign on the gate. You got the picture? It's an explicit warning sign.
This one?
Yeah. It says stop, and then it gives all these warnings about death and dying and how many divers have died going past this gate. So it basically tells you don't go past the gate. 2 days later, Eduardo, the employee that Ben was on good terms with, notices his truck still there, like I mentioned earlier. Police are called. They open the vehicle. They find a wallet with $1,100 in it, which is kind of a lot, and his ID and some other stuff that looks like he was planning to return to his car.
Okay.
Because one theory here is this is a thinly veiled just escape, starting a new life.
Yeah,
type of
a lot
thing.
of people are even saying that like he staged his own death.
Yeah, that's a theory. Security footage is pulled, and you see Ben walking from his car to the spring, never returning back to the car, never exiting the spring. The camera is not on the spring, though. The camera is on like a pathway. So we're assuming he would have
Walked up
taken
it.
the same path.
Yeah.
Yeah. So multiple experienced divers search for Ben because this is a big diving community. So as soon as they hear that Ben's missing, they're like, okay, we'll just go in and find him because there's one way in, one way out. They find decompression tanks, and I'm not fully aware of what these do, but you need them in certain circumstances, like when you're going up for air to decompress something. So there was,
Yeah.
what, do you know?
No, I was just gonna take a guess, which probably is accurate, but go ahead.
Go ahead. What was it?
No, just like when you're so far down, like you can't just like swim all the way to the surface, right? Like really quickly.
Yeah.
So you need to slowly like I don't know like what you're
Decompress.
depressing, but
Yeah.
like you're giving yourself enough time to like take in the change in elevation. So when you come up to surface, it's not just like a sudden impact for your body. I don't know, I could be wrong.
Yeah, someone probably in chat is a scuba diver.
Yeah, who knows?
I would leave 1,100 if I was taking off. Yeah, maybe to throw off the scent.
Or just like it's you're starting a new life, $1,100 maybe isn't a ton to you.
But it was a decent amount to him, I think, because I think we know he had about 20,000 in the bank at the time.
I think it depends on what state you're in. If you're like taking off, like, are you depressed and like you just don't care anymore? Because then money's inadequate, right?
Yeah,
like,
money doesn't matter.
It's obsolete or whatever the word is.
So multiple experienced divers go into search. They find decompression tanks. They find 2 halfway filled decompression tanks, 1 fully filled decompression tank with his name on it. One tank has his name on it. It's unclear which of the tanks has his name on it.
Okay.
1 tank has his name, the other 2 do not. So this is odd for a few reasons, because you don't even need 1 full tank to traverse the entire cave and go back out. People say you need like half a tank. So the fact that he has 3 stands out as being weird.
But you couldn't go deeper than like what's on the vortex chart, right?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Another thing is you would never have 2 half tanks. That doesn't make any sense to anyone. It's like you would use one and then switch to the other.
People saying what my idea of a decompression tank is correct.
Okay.
Just so we know.
So a few things stand out with this discovery of the tanks. When the divers went in to search 2 days later, also worth noting, the gate was still unlocked. So maybe there was also just like a really relaxed gate policy here. Which is odd to me because it seems like the number one liability of your business is like, is the gate locked or not?
Yeah.
So I feel like that would be monitored better, but who knows? His parents are notified finally. They go to the condo and immediately find his dog, which he loved more than anything. His parents assume he died an accidental death in the cave. That's their first assumption.
Okay.
Which is logical, right? That's what you would assume.
You don't think your child's gonna walk away from life with not good reason.
Yeah. After a month of looking, though, the tanks are the only evidence of Ben that's found. Lots of people think this is odd because you would find other traces. Because again, you can literally go into every inch of this cave and check. And if he's not there, then where is he? As I mentioned earlier, some of the restrictions, mainly the fourth restriction, is 10 to 12 inches, which is like, you got to go flat. And then you're barely like 10 to 12 inches.
Is he fittable?
Yeah, so Ben is 6'2", 250. So he's
not
a
fitting.
big man.
6'2" is not that tall, so he's not like lean.
So just for some reference, we'll get to this later, but I'll tell you now. Afterwards, another diver gets stuck in the fourth restriction and dies. So
like your body just gets stuck there, and then you're just stuck there. Can't you like call for? There's nothing they can do. They don't like go check in on you after like a certain amount of time. Like
we're like deep in the cave. So this is how it is.
How is this allowed?
I remember this when I went to the Mammoth Caves to visit. This is an above ground cave.
Woolly mammoths?
The Mammoth. Yeah, it's not an underwater cave. It's like a below ground, but it's not below water. So we're going on the main tour, right?
Yeah.
We're just here with a tour guide. We're looking at like the formations, but then there's other people not with the main tour that are doing crazy stuff. They're like diving around, and you can kind of see them. They come out once in a while, and then they're just like really climbing through the rocks and doing all this really high risk stuff. So that's kind of how this is. All the tourists are just in the main basin doing scuba diving. And then you get like every few hours, maybe an expert diver goes to explore the cave.
Yeah, but should they have to be able to fit?
They should, but
like, why would the employee be like, all right, 6'1", 250, you're definitely
But once you're
fit.
down there, you're not really answering to anyone. It's like, let's just keep going. And another thing is,
you can just go past the basin without any check mark? Restriction
just the
what?
gate. Just the gate.
How? And you just automatically get a key? Like, these employees don't really take it
If you
seriously.
have the credentials, you get the key.
He didn't have the credentials.
He didn't have them, though. Another thing is, it's not like an experienced diver just pops in and goes to the fourth restriction. It seems to be like over time you are building a map on your own. Like Ben was actually mapping the cave himself, and a lot of divers do this. And you're slowly progressing through the cave. You come back up. Maybe you come back the next day. You're like, oh, this is where I was yesterday. I'll go like 10 feet farther. You just keep going like a little bit further, and you explore new areas, and then eventually you map the whole cave. Okay, so Ben was 6'1", 250, on the bigger side of scuba divers. Another concern is the sand on the floor of the cave, and this can cause, if you get flustered and you kick up sand, this can cause complete loss of vision for extended periods of time. It's known as a silt out. So you just get disoriented, you're rendered useless, essentially. You can just like feel around.
So you can't turn around and go back out?
Yeah, you can.
You just said there's only one way in, one way out.
Yeah, you can turn around though and go out the way you
The
came in.
basin? Oh.
Yeah, the basin.
So there's two ways in, there's two ways out.
No, there's one way in.
You can go through the fourth restriction, and you can go back
No,
to the
you
basin.
can't go, the fourth restriction is way deep in the cave. You can't go in that way.
So how do you
Everything
get out?
starts in the basin.
So you have to, if you hit the fourth restriction, you have to go all the way
Yeah, you
back to
turn
the
back.
basin.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I see.
Okay. So eventually, this is a month after the disappearance, a remote operated vehicle is sent into the spring. This is like you see on National Geographic and stuff. And everyone says, okay, this is going to settle the case once and for all, because this can go well beyond any diver. But these devices are made for fresh open water, not caves. So this thing is on like a string, and the string just keeps getting caught on rocks and stuff, so this thing doesn't do anything. It's useless. So that's a fail. And then this is where things get really interesting. They call on an extremely experienced legendary diver named Ed Sorensen. He has over 2,500 dives. He owns a dive shop in the area. He's pulled multiple bodies out of water. Like this is what he does. This is one of the things they like call him when he's on vacation. It's like, Ben's gone, come back. He's like, okay, I'll be on the next flight. I'll come find him. So he's going in to find him. Ed travels 200 feet beyond where the official map of the cave ends. So that he goes up to a 5th restriction. So he goes past 4, goes up to 5, and he's like, this is as far as any human could conceivably go. And I haven't seen Ben. He was a little smaller than Ben also. He was 6 foot 190. And Ed came up and he's basically like, Ben's not in there. I've never been sent into a cave to recover a body and not come back with it. Direct quote. Ed read Ben's logbook. Well, like I told you, he was developing a map for the cave. And this is common, apparently. You log all your dives. And he discovered that Ben's mapping of the cave was really incorrect. And his mapping was not even very deep at all.
What does that mean?
Like he hadn't gone, I don't know how far he'd gone, but he hadn't gone very far in. Okay. So Ed takes his dive along with Ben's drawing and he's like, there's no way Ben's in here because Ben's only gone this far and I went everywhere.
Right.
And Ben would have been recoverable if he had only gone up to the point shown in his drawings. So Ben's parents end up putting a $10,000 reward out for the discovery, and Ed is strongly opposed to this because you're basically incentivizing risky diving behavior.
People to go in, yeah.
So it's really a bad idea. And the parents also hire an expert diver to look for Ben. He made 7 dives and went past the 5th restriction, which Ed said was not possible. So people are going to new lengths. Now someone's passed the 5th restriction.
But he came back.
Yeah, he came back.
You're like, the expert diver died because he couldn't go.
So Ed also says that when you're diving, and this is reiterated by a lot of divers who end up going in to look for dead bodies, because this is very common apparently. And I was reading, it's like the riskiest per attempt sport there is. So like you're more like cave diving, you're more likely to die per attempt than like skydiving, bungee jumping, snowboarding, like all that type of stuff. And apparently when you're diving for a body, you can like taste and smell the decay of a body. And Ed says that was nowhere to be seen in this cave. He also noted that the 5th restriction had no signs anyone had been there. There's no like scuffing on the wall, no disturbance of the dirt, the sand. In 2012, 2 years later, a couple made a documentary of their dives into this cave, and they find a shovel near the 5th restriction. And this really sends shockwaves through the diving community and the people looking for Ben. And Ben's parents are like, yeah, it's his shovel. He always dives with a shovel.
Is that true?
It turns out to not be true because the most likely scenario is what happened. The diver that the parents sent in to find Ben dropped that shovel. So it makes total sense that it would be there. And then, as I mentioned earlier, in 2012, a diver got stuck in the 4th restriction and ended up drowning. Another note, cadaver dogs were brought in and they pick up on a scent along the shoreline of the water of the spring, but they don't follow the scent anywhere. So one theory people will have is someone, either foul play or Ben may have done this, just like back the truck right near the spring, so you just get out and then go into the truck. That seems more like a foul play type of scenario.
Yeah.
But I think you're just overemphasizing the dog and like the dog evidence there, probably. And that's all the evidence. What do you guys got?
Is it possible that he did come out of the basin and just like took a different path, or like skipped by seeing by the cameras?
People seem to not think that's possible. I haven't seen where the cameras are set up, but it is possible that he knew where the cameras were set up, maybe, right?
Yeah, that's what I'd imagine. If he's like trying to get away, he left his car there. That would make it seem like an accidental death.
Yeah, I think the parents did end up changing it up to a $30,000 reward at one point. It started as 10.
I heard the shovel was left by the original mappers of the cave. Yeah.
No, it was by, from what I understand, from what I've read, it's by the person the parents hired. So here's some theories. The main theory, accidental death. I think that's probably the strongest theory. It seems very unlikely that Ben could have made it further than anyone else, because by this point now, very experienced divers have been to the depths of the cave. He was constantly studying and practicing, and it seemed by the evidence recovered that diving in this cave was the sole focus of his life at this point. Like, that's all he did. He was reading, he had tons of diving books. He took diving classes, but he didn't always complete them. He went on dives all day. He was just like very obsessed with diving at the time. Almost no one dives alone. You usually have a buddy. So he's just exhibiting high risk behavior. And Ben did seem to be overconfident, and his lack of real training makes this, I would say, the most likely theory. And there's some people that say when they got to the 5th restriction, it looked like there could have been a cave-in, like near the, maybe like a little past the fifth restriction. So people are thinking like maybe his body's back there, which maybe.
How would he have made it that? You're just assuming he did happen to make it that far then?
What else would explain where his body is, really?
So I think he committed suicide and led everyone to believe he was in the cave by just keeping his car there, but exited.
Where's the body then?
And went elsewhere. I don't know. Did they search only the cave, or did they search like the surrounding town area?
Mostly the cave. But yeah, I guess if you went off into the woods or something. Now here, I think, is the most interesting theory. Accidental death with a cover-up from employees and business owners. So, that theory goes like this.
It is a very famous vector. What is it called?
It's Vortex Springs.
Vortex.
It's the most famous diving,
they would lose
cave
a ton
diving.
of business.
But people die in caves all the time. That's the thing. So I don't think they would lose a ton of business. I think that actually might make it like a more desirable location for divers.
But for family, friends, people who, or just normal people who go to the basin, I wouldn't want to go there.
Yeah.
Personal.
We got to go to the Mammoth Cave. It's in
Yeah.
Kentucky, I think. So the theory goes like this. Eduardo didn't only let him in that one time. Eduardo was routinely letting him in without it. He's not supposed to have a key.
Eduardo would have gotten in trouble too.
Yeah. So there's evidence in Ben's book that he's been routinely mapping and diving in the cave. So it wasn't like the first time. And the tanks may have been planted
By employees.
by employees.
Okay.
So that's how
So
that
what do the
theory
tanks
goes.
indicate? Like he wants to go a lot further than what's on the map.
I don't know that it indicated anything. It just indicates that he was in there. There's some sign of him being in there that day.
Okay.
Another decent theory, this is kind of one I came up with, is that Ben went on a one-way trip suicide dive.
But where's his body?
So, using this theory, if you are in the mindset of, I'm not coming back, I think maybe then you could get further than people think. Like if you're really just like clawing your way to the back, not caring if your tank gets ripped open or like your suit gets ripped open and stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
But it does seem like not a great way to commit suicide. It seems like it'd be painful and like...
But it's the thing he loved most at the time, right?
Yeah.
So if he couldn't like get, have a better life, he wanted to die what he loved doing.
Yeah, or maybe he like also brought some pills or like some...
Took him before he started I don't know, yeah.
Took him midway through.
Yeah. And you have water right there to swallow.
Yeah, I could see that being a thing. You like, yeah, maybe. Foul play.
But so does the cave end? We don't know. No one's gone further than the 6th restriction.
People have gone as far as you could conceivably go.
But no bodies.
No.
Okay, so I don't know if I like that.
A past owner of Vortex Springs died a somewhat suspicious death. People say it's suspicious. So apparently, an employee stole about $30,000, or he suspected he stole about $30,000 from him. So he drove the employee out to go look at like a new property he was interested in buying, but he like took the employee out of the car and beat him with a baseball bat like he was a mafia member, and then like casino basically, and he was charged with aggravated battery. The first time I saw that scene in Casino, have you seen it where they like bury Joe Pesci alive? It's intense. He later died after falling from a balcony at a party. Suspicious death. The owner.
The owner, okay. T.S. Jones, thank you for the donation. The cave leads to Narnia.
That's possible.
That would be a good place for him to be, I guess, right?
And then the last theory is Ben started a new life.
Yeah.
But, so I think with the starting a new life, wouldn't you do that when you're in the depths of financial like bankruptcy, not after your family's supporting you and you're kind of like getting things
But there
going
could also
again?
be some mental things going on, like he's actually just clinically depressed and he's in a bad place and he doesn't feel like he can ever come back out. You're just looking at the superficial things, but there's a lot of internal struggles that people go through.
Does it end in open water? No, it doesn't. You go in and it just keeps on getting narrower until you can't go further, and then you have to go back out. He was declared dead, yes. But that was more of a formality. It's not like we know that he's actually dead.
Yeah. It's not a freshwater spring, right? Saltwater.
I'm not sure. I think it...
You said that machine was for freshwater, which didn't work here.
Which machine?
That they put in or something, remember?
No, for open water. The machine is for like
Oh.
open water, deep ocean dives.
A lot of people are stuck on this dog, but like you love something until you hate your life, more. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of people think the dog is a big indicator he would never do that.
I don't think so. Like Matt loves Julius, but if Matt wanted to walk away from life, Julius isn't the one stopping him.
I would take Julius with me probably.
No, I think you wouldn't take anything with you. I think you would just leave everything behind. Honestly.
That's true.
Like, why would he take his dog with him if he's gonna die anyway? That would be damaging for the dog.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. A smaller guy maybe couldn't get any further safely, but if someone did want to explore in an unsafe manner, then maybe they could.
Someone's eating butter chicken as they watch. Who leaves 11,000 in a car? It was 1,100, not 11,000.
1,100. Yeah, I don't. It seems odd because cash. You can always use $1,100 in cash, right?
Not if you're diving.
The only reason to leave it in a car is to throw everyone off. Because why would you leave it in a car?
Or if you're gonna die, you don't need 1,100. You're thinking
that
he
too.
left his life.
No, I'm thinking accidental death in the cave. I think my theory. I don't
So he's intending to come back. It was accidental. So then you don't take the money.
Yeah, I think he was just overconfident. I don't know. It's hard to really say because why wouldn't his body be found? Yeah, I think he was just overconfident and tried maybe. I don't know enough about diving. Maybe he just felt like he was in the zone that night. And he's like, I'm gonna set the record here. I'm gonna get to the deepest point of this cave tonight.
Yeah.
It might have just been something like that.
The parents were wealthy. Perhaps they helped him disappear.
I don't think so. Why would you?
And then you put up a fake $30,000, award.
It's a freshwater spring, someone says.
Oh, sorry. All right, that's the case. You think it was employee involved? Or just accidental?
There is a lot of good theories. Yeah, my official theory, though, is that it was an accidental death. That's probably the most likely. It's just hard to explain why his body wasn't found.
Yeah.
But I don't know enough about... I feel like someone who really dives a lot would have a much better handle on this case and be like, yeah, his body could be hiding in some corner somewhere. Oh, that's another thing is there's eels in the cave and divers bring little sausages and cheese whiz to feed the eels.
That's cute.
Because I think they're carnivorous or they eat meat a lot at least. So if his body was in there,
They would have
they would eat
eaten at
it,
it.
and it would be noticeable.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not there.
Maybe something ate him. But it can't be like a shark because sharks aren't in there.
Or like a whale that swallowed him.
Yeah.
Nothing big enough that would like just completely get rid of his body.
Is it mud cake time? Is it mud cake time for you?
No. Is
No.
it for you?
No.
No. I'm pretty full. All right, guys. This was a good one.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Next week, guys, last episode of season 1.
Season 1. Oh, fly.
And then, how long should we take a break for? I guess we'll play it by ear because we have a baby. We've never had one
We've
before.
never had a baby before, guys. A lot of you have.
So maybe take like a 2 to 3 month break here. Definitely get it back into gear towards the end of the year here.
Yeah. We'll definitely have things figured out by then.
Maybe we'll do even like a few one-off ones if we're feeling it.
If we have the capabilities, for sure.
All right.
All right.
Thanks for
See
watching.
you next week.
Bye.